Christopher Bell was never supposed to be the story of Pocono. After a chaotic race that featured a massive Stage 2 crash involving several playoff contenders, all the attention seemed headed elsewhere. Bell had spent most of the afternoon running around 20th place and never looked like a driver capable of challenging for the win. Yet somehow, the number 20 team found itself in an unbelievable position. After surviving damage in a wreck and spending most of the race buried in traffic, Bell suddenly found himself leading late at Pocono. With only a few laps remaining, one of the most unlikely victories of the season was within reach. Then, everything changed. Stay with us until the end, because Christopher Bell has now revealed exactly what was happening inside the car during those final laps, and his comments show just how close the number 20 team came to pulling off the impossible. The race never started like a winning day for Christopher Bell. Bell and the number 20 team simply didn't have the speed to challenge the frontrunners. They spent most of the race buried in traffic and looked headed toward another average finish. Then, Stage 2 changed everything. A huge crash broke out on the front stretch and collected several drivers, including Shane Van Gisbergen, Josh Berry, Austin Hill, Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, and Brad Keselowski. Bell avoided major damage, but he didn't escape completely untouched. During the incident, he brushed the outside wall. At that moment, it looked like another frustrating chapter in a season that has already delivered plenty of disappointment. Nobody expected Bell to become a factor later in the race. But after the crash, the number 20 team realized they needed to try something different. They knew they didn't have enough speed to drive through the field at pure pace, so crew chief Adam Stevens made a bold strategy call. The team committed to a fuel plan that required Bell to save every possible drop and stretch the tank much farther than normal. Even Bell admitted afterward that they never truly expected it to work. He said, "This was not a woulda, coulda, shoulda. I have had a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas this year, but not this one. That was just a gamble. We ran around 20th all day." Bell's comments perfectly summed up the situation. The number 20 team wasn't sitting on a dominant race car that got away from them. They were running around 20th all afternoon and decided to take a chance because a normal strategy wasn't going to produce a great result anyway. As the race entered its final stretch, the gamble slowly started paying off. Cars ahead of Bell began making pit stops, and the number 20 Toyota kept moving forward in the running order. Then the conversation on the radio changed. Bell explained, "Before we went green on that final run, Adam was making it sound like there was no way we would ever make it. At first, the team didn't think reaching the finish was realistic, but as the laps clicked away, the calculations kept changing. Suddenly, Bell was leading the race. Then something nobody expected happened. Bell's lead started growing. Lap after lap, the number 20 Toyota kept staying out. Suddenly, this wasn't just a fuel mileage experiment anymore. Christopher Bell was actually racing for the win. Bell said, "When it got to 20 laps to go, it was like 17 seconds. And then it's like, okay, are we racing for the win? Or are we racing to finish the race?" That question completely changed the situation. A driver who had spent most of the day outside the top contenders was now trying to decide whether to chase an unlikely victory or focus entirely on making it to the checkered flag. The pressure inside the car immediately increased. Bell knew every decision mattered because the entire strategy depended on fuel mileage. For several laps, it genuinely looked like they might pull it off. Fans watching the timing screens could see Bell maintaining the lead, and the possibility of a shocking upset became more believable with every lap. Christopher Bell was suddenly in position to steal Pocono. Unfortunately, the fuel calculations eventually caught up with the number 20 team. Bell did everything he could to save fuel and followed every instruction from his crew chief. but the numbers simply didn't work out. Bell later admitted, "I tried to do what he was telling me to do, just didn't have enough." Those words captured the entire afternoon. After surviving the Stage 2 crash, overcoming wall contact, and turning an average race into a potential victory, the number 20 Toyota finally ran dry. Bell couldn't make it to the finish. The win disappeared. Instead of celebrating in victory lane, Bell crossed the line in 26th place. It was one of the most dramatic swings of the season. What's interesting is that Bell didn't sound angry or devastated afterward. There was disappointment, but there wasn't regret. He understood exactly why the team made the call, without the gamble. Bell likely finishes somewhere around where he had been running all day. The strategy gave them something they otherwise never would have had: a legitimate chance to win the race. For a brief period, they actually looked like they were going to pull it off. That's why Bell refused to describe Pocono as a race that got away from him. To him, it was simply a gamble that nearly worked. There was also another factor making Bell's performance even more impressive. Pocono was his first race after suffering a wrist injury at Michigan. Bell admitted that his wrist still isn't fully back to normal. He said, "My wrist is fine whenever I am by myself. But certainly any adverse conditions, I don't really have the ability to make sharp, quick corrections to the car." That's an important detail, because Pocono is one of the most challenging tracks on the schedule. Bell was dealing with discomfort in his wrist, managing traffic, surviving a crash, and trying to execute an extremely difficult fuel-saving strategy, all in the same race. Despite all of that, he still came within a few laps of pulling off one of the biggest surprises of the season. Christopher Bell didn't leave Pocono with a trophy or even a strong finish. Instead, he left with one of the year's most painful what-if stories. A team that spent most of the afternoon running around 20th place suddenly found itself leading late in the race and staring at an unexpected victory. Then the fuel ran out. The number 20 Toyota rolled away without a celebration, and everyone inside the garage was left thinking about how close Christopher Bell had come to stealing Pocono. For a few incredible laps, the impossible looked completely real. And in the end, he lost everything. But what do you think? Did Christopher Bell and the number 20 team make the right call by gambling on fuel mileage? Or should they have played it safe and settled for a solid finish? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NASCAR stories and breaking news.